think it's time to play Flip the Book. So would you like to pick book 1, 2, or 3? And that
3.
is what I refer to as the big book. It's your insight and awareness. So you have 1 to 430 pages to pick from. What would you like?
I would pick the
111.
111.
It's always a mystery to see what's going to come up.
Well, I've been seeing the number a lot lately, so we're going to see what the universe. Yeah, I've been seeing it everywhere.
Have you?
I looked at my watch. Today is 111. Yesterday, something.
Oh, there you go. You get runs on it. So you have 7 paragraphs to choose from. Which one would you like?
The third one.
Okay, so this is under the chapter of separation from your awareness of your soul. You can use your unresolved emotions as an excuse to justify your own destructive behavior towards your soul and others. When you justify and excuse your emotional behaviors, you exist separated from your awareness of your soul. You can ignore how you utilize your freedom of choice and how you fight your awareness of your soul's consciousness for control. I think what you do is try to help people deal with it.
Well, there's a technique that I do. Is the initials for it. They've changed the meaning of what those initials mean on and off throughout the years. But I've been doing this technique since like 19 something, like 89 or something like that, or 90 or something, right around there. And it's called NET. And NET takes a look at what you're handling emotionally in your ecosystem, and it looks at where you first had that experience. So if you've been abandoned, or if you've been beaten, or if you were sexually abused, or if you have, had something happen to you, you had a car accident, you had a ski accident, sometimes those events are buried somewhere in your body. So anytime that you get to near that same emotion again, you have the same experience again. That's the mammalian brain firing off, going like, oh, that looks like, and every time I meet a man that has a mustache, they never turn out to be the good guy, and so therefore men with facial hair are, they're off limits. And, just as an extreme example, the piece of that is that being able to go back and step in time and find out what it is the emotion that keeps on coming up again and again and again, that makes you stay in Newtonian time and not have an exponential life, is to go in and find out, so that you can be bigger than your biggest excuse, so that you can squash that. So it isn't like it didn't happen, but how you react to it. So it's a memory and not something that you're reactive to. That's huge. That's a huge shift for a lot of people, because that in and of itself improves people's health, their mindset, and their well-being, for sure. And then when they have other things that come up like that, they don't have that they don't have that piece of the puzzle that keeps on firing at them, so when you own, then you can easily walk in and have similar situations go on around you, and you're not affected by them, and your soul and your spirit and your body are protected energetically. And that's, so I was like, when you're looking at, like, how to be bigger than your biggest excuse, things always go down to 3 things: time, energy, and money. No matter what the excuse is, it's just like, so what is it? Like, what is it that's preventing you from having your best life ever? And why don't you want your best life ever? And if there's an emotional component to that, let's find out what that is, work through it, so you can have the breakthrough that you deserve, and then you can make the impact and have the life that you love more consistently, every day.
And it's interesting because I find a lot of people now want that instant gratification, but actually to deal with your emotions and those really stored belief systems and traumas and fears, etc., you have to do the work. And it's not as hard as it sounds if you lean into it and you commit to it. But we want it fixed, and we want it fixed yesterday. And it doesn't work that way. That just keeps us on the loop of moving around. It's interesting how much we shy away from our emotions. Unresolved emotions are what are affecting you and making you feel bad about yourself and not good enough, and all those belief systems that hold you trapped in your own monotony, really.
Right. And so when you have, the I had a woman who was triggered when I was doing this work, the NET work on her. When I was working on her, there's a dog barking outside the window, and she freaked out. She literally was off the table in a New York nanosecond. And I said, "What's going on?" And she just go like, "It's the dog. It's the dog." She was, when somebody gets that kind of irrational part, it's the dog. It's the dog. And I said, "What about the dog?" I said, "Take a deep breath. Talk to me." And then it's just like there were things that triggered her, that what she came in for isn't exactly what we ended up doing. But what ended up coming from that is that someone molested her at some point in time, and she buried that emotion that went with that. And so when we were done, we took that reactivity portion of it, because she said, "I hate dogs." I mean, it was just like she was whipped up, and like she was very vocal about it. And so when in working with her and finding out, like, what was that? And is there a time before that when she left, she's Dr. Pat, she goes, "Thank you." She goes, "I never thought about that in so many years." And I said, "Now you don't have to think about it ever again. And if you do, you can just say, 'Oh, I know what that is.' And you can push it away into a safe place." And so I never saw her. And about 6 months after that, some guy came in my office with flowers. And so my staff immediately thought it was a new boyfriend. And he was stopping by to bring me flowers. And, she goes, "Hey, some guy's up there." I said, "Who are you dating now?" I go, "First off, it's none of your business." And number two, I go, "Let me go find out who it is." So I walked up and just said, I introduced myself, and he goes, "Oh, Dr. Pat." He goes, "I've been meaning to do this for a long time." And he said, and the other day I just looked at these flowers, and I just like, "I've got to go do this." And so I did it. And I said, "Well, they're really beautiful, but who are you?" And I love flowers. So I go, it's a good choice. And so then he said to me, he said, "Thank you for giving me my wife back."
Oh.
And I went, "Who are you?" And then he told me who he was and how, and he said, "She's been so different since whatever the last time that you saw her." And I went, "Oh, I'm really glad to hear. Really, really glad to hear that, And I said, "Tell her I said hi." She goes, "She doesn't know I'm here." I said, "Then don't tell her I said hi. But you could tell her you ran into me at the grocery store and you're talking to this crazy chiropractor, this woman, and you said, ask me where my office is at." I go, and you put two and two together. So it's just, I think, or you can say, "I think I ran into your chiropractor," and you saw tall, dark hair, and rather very witty.
Yeah.
And he just said, he goes, "Thank you very much." He goes, "You saved my life, and you saved hers too."
That's
And
right.
I just went out, because you never know what impact you're going to have when you're working with somebody, or that one phrase that you say to somebody, that they carry that and they carry it through the rest of their life.
That's
Like
right.
some guy called me up one day, 15 years after I had left my practice. And he said, "You remember that time you told me not to eat sugar?" Well, there was a guy on 60 Minutes talking about sugar, and he said everything you used to say. That should have been you on 60 Minutes. And I went, "Who was it?" He goes, "I don't know, but I was listening to that." And I said, "She told me that, back in 1989, that kind of thing." I went like, "Well, good. So don't eat sugar." And he didn't eat sugar, but his wife was very addicted to it, and he's doing very well with his health, and she has some major issues with it too. So, in doing things that are like, good for you, you have to always say, like, what is my highest good? What is this for my highest good? That I need to do? Is it what part of my health needs more attention than that? On my website, there is and I'm trying to think of what actual page it's on, but if you go through it, on the bottom, there's a thing called the Wheel of Life guide. And if you grab that book, it will show you, it's an ebook, it will show you where you need to pay attention to yourself in your life right now. Is it more family? Is it more friends? Is it work? Where is that piece of the puzzle? And my health, it's healthteamnetwork.com, and it's downloadable. And it's, feel free to get it. It could be on the product page, but I wouldn't trust me on that one. Exactly. It's just like, I just got them putting that together, and I move things around. So, feel free to look for it and grab it. It's something that would be very helpful.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you for your time, Dr. Pat, and I've enjoyed our conversation.
I loved our conversation. This was the best point of this week so far.